Hello and welcome to base tour video. This is a base tour of a factory which you can see in the description. It's called TAFK, Talks Automatic Factorio, and since there was a lot of questions on Reddit how things work, I decided to make a video rather than reply on all of it. My name is Toch and here we go. Okay, so what I'm gonna talk about. First we're gonna go quickly through terminology so I can show up the terms that I use to describe my factory. Then I'm gonna go through a starter base, which is the part where it unfolds itself from the plane and go through the most of the research and then get destroyed. And then it swaps to phase 2, which is what I call brain base, and the result of that you can see behind the text. And after I'm gonna show up the phase 2, I'm gonna also show how the blueprint and all the thing is being done in a different save, and how I compile the final blueprint book, and that's about it. Okay, let's quickly go through the terminology. This is something I call base. It's with all the parts that are supposed to be there. This little small thing is square. It's used for mining and getting oil. This is the outer ring, that's all the squares together. This is the inner base, which contains different parts depending which kind of base it is and what I need. This is a look inside of a blueprint book. It contains 82 blueprints. The whole factory is hidden in here. Some of these blueprints are so-called stages. These stages have trigger points, which are conditions that have to be met to move to next stage. Some of these blueprints are utility and support, like solar panels, minefields, oil fields, and stuff like that. And that's probably all from the terminology, and let's move to the phase 1, which is starter base. So here we are, start of the phase 1 starter base. I'm gonna explain first few things to look at. First of all, the items in the cargo plane have to be in the exact order to ensure that everything is working, because these two boxes are of limited space, and I have to make sure that the items transferred first are being used. As I already said, to move to next stage we have to meet a trigger. We have to meet the triggers, which are conditions. The first trigger is in here, and it's amount of solar panels transfers from the ship to this box. This is the second trigger, and all of the bases works with this counter. Actually, this is the counter together with this and this constant. And basically what it's doing, that instead of the blueprint being deployed every tick, which was insanely UPS heavy, it's deploying the blueprint only every 600 tick. So this is the condition that all of the triggers have to wait on as well. I'm gonna start the factory by getting the plane in the right position, like this, and I'm gonna enter the God mode. I'm gonna speed it up a bit on 2. The first thing we are looking at is this trigger. We already met the condition because it's only 30, but we were waiting for the book and this tick to get over 600. So that happened right now. This is the first stage. First stage is obviously power, because we cannot do anything without sufficient power. Second stage, and its trigger is here. It's waiting for 99 solar panels, so we are basically waiting for these solar panels to be inserted into the starting boxes. And the second stage is 3 squares into these positions, which will provide us with the basic resources that we checked the field for, as shown in the previous video. Next trigger point will be coal in these boxes, as soon as we have enough, then we're gonna focus for the next stage, which will be smelters in here. And I think I'm gonna speed things even a bit more. Basically now we are waiting for some items, especially these two roboboards, to be inserted in the boxes. As soon as we get them from a plane, you will see the huge wave of robots coming to building the other stuff. Yep, here we go. Now I'm gonna slow up a bit again. Also, I have a little condition in here which says that if there is not enough coal in here, then I'll send all these signals into the base, so all the assemblers will stop creating items and the robots can focus on filling the coal again, because it's really important to maintain the power through the whole time. Okay, I'm gonna speed things up again. Okay, now we are waiting for the coal to be delivered. As soon as we have that, still waiting for it. Yes, we have it now. So next stage incoming. It's a smaller phase, and also activating the steam power by editing the pump in here. And trigger for the next stage is here, which is 200 copper plates, 500 iron plates. As soon as we get that, we are getting our first signs going on. And from this point, we no longer use like items for triggering next stages, but I use this area, and it basically is counting all the science specs that went through the labs, and I'm gonna show up and insert in here into the video the workflow, or how else I should call that, which shows the order of the researches. I can actually show it in the here if I go Shift T, order of this, and I calculated the cumulative cost of every research that I want to wait for, in order not to build assemblers for that item before I actually research that. So to show up how it works, next stage will be a small solar area in here, and if I would build the stage before I research the solars, the assemblers would be set up empty, which I want to avoid. So now I'm waiting for the solar research to be done, and you're gonna see that as soon as these counters will hit the first condition, which is I think here. No, it's actually the first one is actually blue, which is 850. As soon as this number will get there, we're gonna deploy the solar panels. So let's wait for that. Okay, we have met the condition, and here we go. This was a really small stage, but now we are able to produce electric poles and solar panels, so we will be able to fill this area with the solar panels to give us more energy. This takes some time, so I'm actually gonna skip this and I'm gonna move towards the next phase. Here I jumped straight into another stage, which is editing a lot of new furnaces, a lot of new power in here, blue science in here, all the items needed for the blue science, as well as one oil refinery, which is using the standard oil recipe, and we are only using petroleum from it to get a plastic. For blue science, the heavy and light oil is getting only into the tanks. The tanks are enough for before the next refinery will be built. And here we are editing a lot of solars and accumulators. But actually the most interesting and important part of this stage was this brain, which is responsible for expanding of these squares and gathering the resources for the base. I'm gonna detailedly explain how it works and what's going inside when we're gonna gather enough resources to actually get it starting. And right before that, I'll explain why I decided to go for this square design and stuff like that. Okay, I've skipped ahead again a bit. We're still waiting for some resources to be made, and before the expand will start, I want to describe a bit about the design as I told. Basically, from my previous factory, the one condition that I gave myself was not to use the mod to convert coal into heavy oil. I wanted my factory to be able to use vanilla oil, to be able to build PAM checks based on my blueprints. And since they are kind of random and then you have to connect them with the pipes and you never know where the exit will be, it was kind of difficult, but I've come with design you're gonna see pretty soon. Basically what I do is I check the area around the base square by square. I build a frame around, then I use a blueprint. I can show you the blueprint right here. The blueprint number which one is that? Jesus. Yeah, this blueprint, and I take that blueprint and spam it on the coordinates like x1 y1 x2 y2 etc etc. So I spam the whole one square with all these. Right before that I count pump jacks in my base, and let's say that there are 20. After I spam this blueprint, I let the roboports to build it, and then I compare pump jacks after that and before that, and if there is a difference more than 5, so that means that there is more than 5 pump jacks built in here, I treat this square as a oil field and I build pipes and poles in here and I gather the oil from it. If I'm gonna speed it up a bit and you're gonna see that. I'll also start explaining a brain with it a bit, and this first part is the conditions that I have to met before I'll actually expand. So let's see how we are. We have output here green, that means that we have enough poles. We don't have green here, that means that we don't have enough pipes. We have enough boxes, enough roboports. This one is telling me that we have enough robots in the robot. This means that we have enough miners. This one that we have enough pump jacks. And this one is a kind of special condition. After I'll start a square, this one will go to 0. So next square it's not started before the first one is finished, and after the first one is finished it will send the condition and reset this one. Okay, I'm gonna speed it up a bit so we can hit 2000 pipes. 1000. We're getting there pretty fast. Okay, so let's look it up. As you can see, we have a frame here. We already spammed the pump jacks in here. Now we are just clearing the thingy. I'm gonna speed up to 2. Now we are waiting a bit, so everything can be set up, built. Actually, give me something like 4. And now we have pipes and poles as well, because there was more than 5. The entrances, or actually more like exits from the pump jacks, as you could see on the blueprints, are in kind of a pattern, as well as the electric poles. It's like a blueprint with certain pattern, which I was like trying to get best results, because there is a high chance I will build electric pole in place like this and actually block the pump jack, or the pump jacks will face each other and they will be not connected to the network and they'll be actually not functional. But this field is actually a pretty rare exception where everything works as it's supposed to. And yeah, I'm gathering oil only through the blueprints. But the problem comes with the actual UPS in here, and because the field like this, filled with fluid, is so UPS heavy that when I had like 14, 15 of these, the game started lagging way sooner than I wish. So I had to drop this function, even though it was an alpha of an omega of my whole base and the function that I started my design around. I had to drop it. And in phase 2, all of the refineries are actually using coal liquefaction, which is now thankfully vanilla. So I still kind of fulfilled my goal to be as vanilla as possible with the oil. But for demonstration purposes, and that for the feeling that I actually can use it, at least because I spent so many time on this feature, I'm using it for a starter base to gather my initial oil. So now when I have all, I can actually work on a blue science because I'm getting a sweet plastic, and I'm working finally on those work robot cargo size and speed. And from now on, you're gonna see that I'll edit it like 2 or 3 more stages to starter base, and I'll expand the squares around and finish the outer ring. I'm actually gonna skip now to the square that is right here, and I'm gonna explain the functionality of the brain on that. While we are waiting for the next stage, as you could see that I researched the worker robot cargo size, and now I'm working on a robot speed. And if you look into graph at this point in like RNC, you can see that production of the whole base went enormously up thanks to these upgrades, and it will go only more and more. Okay, I'm gonna slow up a bit again, and we have another stage here. We are already introducing yellow science, purple science, and that's basically all the basic science that we're gonna fit in this base. We are also introducing the nuclear. That was the main technology we were waiting for, as you could saw. We are also editing some more blue science, and yeah, some furnace here, uranium centrifuges to get the sweet U, So we 235 to power our next bases. After we jumped in the time a bit, let's watch last square to be built, and then I'll explain the whole logic of the brain behind it. Let's start with the start. So as I already mentioned, we are waiting for these conditions to be all green, which is this combinator. We can see that we are missing one, which is these red boxes. We have 43, we need 50, so we are getting there pretty fast. As soon as we're gonna hit these green conditions, we're gonna send signal into this area. This will turn 0, so another square won't start, and then the magic will happen. Let's first make it visually. Let's give it a slight boost. Six. Seven. At least we are gonna get it during the daylight. For 8, 49. Yep, let's put it back in 1. Okay, so this was the first blueprint, the frame. The second blueprint, as I've already shown, is a lot of pump jacks spammed in pattern like here, and etc, etc. Here you can see, as I was talking about earlier as well, that these pump jacks actually would not work at all, but in this build we have only 4, and since I set the condition that I have to have minimum of 5, we're gonna see pretty soon that they're gonna get destroyed. Let's put it on 2 back again. Yep, now we can see that the whole middle section is going to be deconstructed, and then it will be built with the miners and then overlaid with the solars. Yeah, so that's it. So let's check into the brain. Let's go again from the beginning. You have to meet all these grid conditions to fulfill this condition, this combinator. Then it's sent into this part and slowly continuing towards here, and down here. Here are the counters and resets. I think somewhere here are the conditions, how long it's supposed to wait. Which one of those is it? This one and this one. 5k is the amount of ticks for it to wait. Here it's basically evaluating if there is, it's waiting, and now here it's evaluating if there is more than 5 pump jacks or not. These are the numbers for it. If if there is 0 to 4, oh actually 1 to 4 pump jacks, then it goes like here through this and it's deconstructing. If there is 0 pump jacks being built, then it means that this is this one, then it's go immediately to the next build, which is ore miners and solar panels. And if there is less than 16 in the storage left, so that means 5 or more built, then it sends pipes and poles in there. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm just gonna speed up things again. I'll finish the building of this base. I'll probably fast forward it, and I'll show you the initial steps, and then I'll swap to phase 2 explanation. So enjoy. Okay, after I forwarded a lot of the time, here's quick jump in with the stage 15, which is a prep stage for a brain base. I always start with this prep stage because of a water landfill, rubber boards on the position, and also this part is really important to be ahead of the rest brain, because otherwise if the combinators were built in different order it was messing up with my build, so I had to like make this small part ahead of a time. Now I'm gonna forward the rest of the start. After another jump in time, and after the Covarex enrichment process and the rest of the nuclear technology, we finally have a next stage here, which is stage 16, and that's actually brain of the brain base. I'm actually gonna pause the video in here and jump forward, much forward into the future, where most of the base will be built. I'll explain stuff there, and then I'll come back to the brain and explain which parts of brains are responsible for the actual features. Here we are. This is like 40 hours in. Don't mind the FPS and UPS, I think, because of I'm running some process rendering in behind, and the OBS is not helping neither. It shouldn't be that low usually in this stage, but hey, let's go to the base. Let's start with the explanation of the types of the bases that I have in my factory. This one is the brain base. It's the one in the middle. Doesn't look like, but trust me, it is in the middle. It is responsible for everything, and especially this part in here in the corner, that's where the whole logic is hidden. This part is the smelting area for the all items part of this base, which is here. Here I make all the items needed to expand, and this is all the intermediate products. And here I have a refinery. As you can see, everything runs on the cool liquefaction because of the issues with the UPS and the pipes, as I mentioned earlier. And this is like a small nuclear bootstrap base. Next type of base is the power base, which is fully loaded with the nuclear builds and as much space efficient as I could make it. You can see 12 nuclear reactors running on a full capacity in here. Other than that, nothing special in here. Next type of base is non-beaconed modular build, and it's hard-coded in the beginning. It's only for like 3 bases in the starts have this build, and it's to help with the production of the speed modules and productive modules, because I'm gonna need it plenty, as you're gonna see in the next build. So this was a bootstrap for the modules. Next base in a row is another bootstrap. Oh, actually I could show like what's in here. Again, smelting, intermediates, product circuits, red circuits, blue circuits. Blue ones are actually here, and here are the speed modules, and productivity modules. Basically, it's like this build 3 times next to each other, 2 times for speed and 1 times for production. Here we have the refinery again, liquefaction, same old. Next base in a row is bootstrap again, and there was 1, 2, 3, so we still have a place for 1 more. That's the 4th base, and as I said, after the 4th base I needed another power one, so here we have another nuclear one. After that is few more hard-coded, as I'm gonna show in the brain bases. The first one is first beaconed modular build, and this one is for production modules, like you can see here. Next base is first science build, and here we have a little smart again, and this one is basically after I start doing these bases, I still don't have all the researches, and after I get in here, it's waiting after I research the silo technology to actually continue. So this one is responsible for that. And after I research the silo technology, I actually built first rocket base, and from this point bases are no more hard-coded, and as I'm gonna show in the brain, there is like a feature that is putting the bases in the right order. So next base is beacon speed modules. Then we have beaconed productivity modules. Then we have another and the last type of base, which I call all items. And again, it's like everything that I need to expand, and it's here, so all the items doesn't have to travel from the start, and it's faster to expand. After that we have another science, and after it here I think will be another rocket. But okay, now I'm gonna move to explain some of the stuff that these bases are capable of, and I'm gonna actually go and start from the brain. Yep, here am I. So no, not the brain. All of these bases have something that I call like a bot bridge, and that's in here. Since they are all separated bot areas, and the robots cannot transfer in between the actual cells, so I make sure that I have the items that I need by these kind of a smart transferers or whatever. Then all of the bases are connected via this blue belt underground, which you can see is always going on the bottom to the right here and to the next build, and in here it's going back to the base. So if I'm gonna show that on the map, which won't be appropriate, I guess like this. Yeah, you can see that these yellow underground belts are making like a spiral from here to here to here, and then here. Yes, here, here, and like this. They go and go and go, and so on, and like here. Yes, and the back one is going from the last one, and it's going like this, here, and to the base. And the reason behind these blue belts is that I was not sure if all of my items, especially I kind of thought that I will have to move the oil in the barrels, and I was not sure that I want to put everything on the robots. So basically I wanted to have like a backup line to use. So I'm sending, if I create something in here, for example the modules, I don't send it forward, but I put it on this belt, and I'm in here, I'm doing it through these boxes. Yes, through these yellow boxes. I'm putting them on this belt, and they travel back to the brain. They're here picked up, and they're stored in the main storage, and if needed they are sent back on. I'm also using this line for a plastic because some of the builds produce more plastic, some of the builds demands the more than they can produce. So I decided that the plastic will be shared on this line, and most importantly I use this line for sharing a white science. So if a rocket produces the white science, it's going in this box, and I had to make sure that there is no yellow boxes in these builds, so it always goes into these, and it's being sent back, and every science build like this one is picking up straight from the line, so it doesn't have to go all the way to the brain, but it's being picked up in here. Here are some limits on the boxes, that so if I can show here that if the rocket build, which will be here and still not here yet, like sends a white down here, this build will take it from here, but will send some down as well. Otherwise, when there was no this limit, like this box would be filled with 4,000 of white science, and the other builds wouldn't get anything, so I had to limit them. And I also use this build in case that I'm destroying some of the field, which is actually a feature I have removed, or it's kind of there but I didn't finish it. But it was in case that the build, the base, when it would use all the materials, it would destroy itself, collapse into it like a small little remaining thingy, and all of the materials would be sent back to the brain to be reused. So that's why I have these blue underground belts. Another feature I want to share with you guys is called Share, and all it does is sharing the resources. For example, like nuclear builds doesn't need ore or iron, but some other builds it might happen that there is not enough copper or not enough iron or coal or whatever. So I made it this smart thingy, which is powered by these two conditions. This is supply and this is demand. If one of the bases is demanding copper, and it's been figured out in here, if we get the negative signal in this network, which means that we are lacking the copper, then it's sending the one in here. And if this base is offering iron, and it depends on the amount of copper in the boxes, or in case of nuclear build, it always supply the copper and all the ores. So if both of these signals are 1, these boxes are active, and as you can see, the robots are transferring them. It's, if we're gonna toggle, yeah, this one, you can see pretty nice how these robots are coming to the share, and these robots are picking up from the share. Otherwise they work only in the middle. But here, yeah, like they're picking up from this to here to here. And if we have a nuclear build, you can see that they are sending these resources to these sharing points. Last thing before we're gonna go back to the brain is this, like a small brain base. As I already said, it's responsible for sending the resources if there is too much of them, sending them out, or if there is too few of them, then demanding them from the upwards. It's also responsible for when all of these boxes are empty and there is no more resources, it should export all the items left in here outside, and then it should collapse itself. But I didn't actually implement this feature because I wasn't able to get that far. So like the starting resources would get depleted totally. So I didn't bother in this version. Maybe in the next version if there will be any. It's also responsible for, after the base is being built, to send a signal back to the brain that it's ready, that we can start with the nether one. And yeah, that's about it. Back to the brain, and let's see how this all actually works. The most important part and the most important signal in here is signal being sent by this inserter. I use inserters for 1 tick, and because this whole base is like based on signal 1 that I send, and then I multiply it there and divide and stuff like that. So it was really crucial for me that my devices sends only 1 signal 1, not like 2 ticks or whatever. And I really had a trouble getting it with like pulse generators or with the combinators, so I use these inserters, and you can then see them here. You can see them here, here, and here. So whenever I needed to be sure that I have just 1 tick and I didn't want to bother with it, I used inserter like this with 1 science. And yeah, so that's about it. But back to the brain. Everything starts with these conditions, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lights are the conditions for this inserter that have to be met to start another base like this. The first condition is items, and as you can see here, it's a simple conditions, the amount of items, and all of them light up. Then this one light up as well. The second one is condition making sure that another build is not in a progress. Like you can here see that this one is being built, so this is not lighted on. After it will be resetted and it will light on. This one is one of the starting conditions, and it's ensuring that it will start only after the book will get into the like a main deploy box, blueprint deployer. This build is this one is, if I will remember, but I think it have to do something with the bases being done. See, it's been so long before I build it. When I build this, I don't even remember exactly. But yeah, I think it's when the base is done, then this signal is sent in here. This condition is that the power and the electricity have to be maxed out. At the beginning, when I had just 1 base, I had issues with the process starting, and like in the middle of the tick I didn't have enough power, and it kind of deadlocked itself. So now I have to be sure through this accumulator that the power is filled. And this one, as I already mentioned in the science build, is after I get to the first science base, I wait for the silo to build the first silo. And the last condition is time in here. And as you can see, here is like a little timer, and there is like a loading bar for it. And if this 5 lights in a row light up, this one will light up and it will send 1 tick. This is to make it easy in the UPS, so it doesn't check all the conditions like every second or whatever. And it's also here because when I start a build, then some conditions might for like 1 minute still be lit and it would send another signal, so I wait here for 15,000 ticks. So this was the most important signal sender. After this signal is being sent, it travels through here, up here, and along these undergrounds, and is actually traveling to this area. This is the X coordinate, this is the Y coordinate, and all together they are being sent in this part where they are like added at constant and basically getting the right condition. And from there the XY is traveling to this part, and this part is corresponding with these 3 lights, and these lights are kind of stages. I'm gonna show it on the after I'll explain this brain a bit. I'll actually show what the brain once more on the while another base is being built, so you're gonna be able to understand to this part a bit better from the last part. So I'm just gonna skip it basically now. So yeah, this was the XY coordinates going into here and straight into the box. Here are the triggers for the stages, the outer ring, inner ring, and the actual squares itself. In here, this area is responsible for picking the right blueprint in the spiral pattern. As you can see, as I was showing, that it goes in a spiral. So this area is responsible for picking a straight here, corner here, the other corner here, etc, etc. That's here. This part is responsible for putting 5 blueprints in one spot, and I'm gonna show when I'll take you in the kitchen why 5 blueprints, and I think you'll be able to see it on the nuclear build as well. So I'll slightly get to this later on, but this is like putting the 5 blueprints, and this is a time delay on them. This is like a small yearly game delay, which is making the delay bigger because the creation of the item is slower. Here is the first few 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bases that are hard-coded. First 8 bases have the same order, and this part is responsible for picking the bases after that. The code in here is that I built speed production modules, and then I built science, and then I built rocket. Every 8 base is always item base, every 4th base is nuclear base, and when I reach amount, I think it's like 8 or 10 of speed and modular bases, I build only science and rocket, and science and rockets. Science build and the rockets builds are like calculated to produce equal amount of colorful sciences and white sciences. So for every rocket base I need 1 science base. And this part down here was actually designed to pick for example, if I start a new base, I analyze all materials in the outer ring, and if there would be more copper than iron, then I would suggest rocket base, and if there would be a lot of uranium, then I would suggest a nuclear base. And if there would be no copper or no iron, then I would put always nuclear base. But since I was having any FPS issues, and in the end most of the bases needed the same amount of iron or copper, I didn't put this feature online, but it's kind of there, kind of working, but not online. So that's pretty much, no, actually this part, but I'll already explain it in the starter base. This part is responsible for sending the for building the squares around. Also with the exception that it no longer determines if there is enough pump jacks or not, and it immediately goes to the minus because the UPS builds. But I didn't want to totally get rid of it because I thought that I might go back to pipe builds, so it's just disabled, and but it's still there. You can also see places like this that builds the pump jacks in here, and it's actually sending them towards here, and every base have yes, it should have right here is like a pump jack bridge. And this was actually the feature that took me so many hours to get working, because as I said that after every square and at the beginning of the square I was calculating the amount of pump jacks in the base, and since I'm only using like a one main red and green line, I had to calculate all the pump jacks and then compare it with all of them, and I had to be sure that when I start a new square and that none pump jacks are actually moving from anywhere, so it doesn't like mess with the results. So there was a lot of bug testing and calculating behind this before I was able to get it working, but in the end I did. But that feature is no longer in. And also this part is the same thingy, and the thing what it does was like multiplying the amount of pump jacks coming in here and making sure the result is always 20. But yeah, let's not go into that. The last few small thingies in here. Here I have like a burning mechanism that I'm trying to get rid of the wood so it doesn't clog and deadlock my base. Here I have something I call smart smelters. Basically what it does is first, third, fifth, and etc. rows are always iron because I always need that, and the second, fourth, and such are actually smart ones. And the thing what it does is it swaps between copper and iron and steel, and it's driven by this logic. It's what is an NO gate or whatever it's called, and basically what it does is if I have a 5,000 copper, no, if I have a less than 1,000 or something then of a copper, it starts producing copper until I get 5,000. When I get 5,000 it swaps back to steel, and so on. So it's basically like if I don't demand too much of steel, it's always on copper. And the problem with these smarts is that if you swap from steel to something else, then it kind of keeps like iron plates in here. And I thought that I outsmarted it by inserting only like override stack by stuff and then like putting it, and I thought that it will put only 5 and it will always be only 5, but as you can see it's kind of a mess at the moment. But I didn't have a feeling that I want to improve or redesign this whole area, so I just left it here. One last thing in here I'm gonna show is this area, and the thing that it does is it's the part that is responsible for destroying the old base. And as soon as I reach this start to construction this one, I'll get rid of the starter one that is in here. And I actually have a bug in here, and I'm not sure, and I'll probably won't even fix it because I don't want to go too deep into this again. And the thing, what this does is it doesn't destroy one of the parts that is in here, and you can see the rest of it bit here. Well, not, oh yeah, here it is. It didn't destroy this, and because it didn't destroy it, then the overlapping squares that are supposed to be here wasn't built properly. And I'm gonna provide a save after this bug, or I'll tell the instruction how to get rid of it, but I don't think I'll recompile or find a solution because the bug is a bit deeper than just like a minor fix. So this was the brain. Now I'm gonna go back to the starting point of this brain base, and I'm gonna show you how it works on the first nuclear base, and after that I'll show you how it's compiled, created, and basically I'll take you to the kitchen. Back in the time, right after the last blueprint of the starter brain is being set up, and here I can actually not the last one, it's the second one in here, and you're gonna see that as soon as it will hit the light number 5, that resetting smart will be built in here, and all that does is sending a signal back to the base to reset this one or this one. I'm not exactly sure, one of those lights. So yeah, I'm just gonna speed it up in here and wait for the next base to be built. And here you can see it was actually 4th, not the 5th one. It's like a resetting smarty, and as soon as it will be built, it's gonna send a signal. If we have enough combinators, I think we should. Yep, and here we go. It starts the countdown, which is like 1.5k, and as soon as we reach it, it sends 1 tick back to the base, and voila, green and the yellow light is ready to go. So now we are basically waiting for the items, and I'm gonna skip ahead for it to be ready again. After some time, we finally have almost all the items, and we are just waiting for 12 of these, and as you can see, the accumulator is full, so it's okay, everything's reset, book is here. This condition is now set on. It will because it's important in a later stage. So we are waiting for this light to go green, and 144, 45, 46. Come on. 47, 48, 49, and 150. Here we go. So all items are lighting on, so this condition is good as well. Now we are just waiting for this load bar to go full, and we can see the progress of it here. It's 10k now. We are waiting for 15k. I'm gonna actually speed it up a bit here. $12. 13, 14. Okay, I'm gonna slow down again. And now you can see that there is no light in here and no light in here. Means that it's stage 0. And now we are getting here, and you could saw a light in here. That was all conditions met. Signal was sent. And now we are first stage. Now there is like a small delay to calculate everything in. After it's been calculated, we can see already a blueprint in here. And the first part is a brain. Frame. And here is something that I call construction bridge. Since both of the networks are not connected, I have to be sure to send some robots to the next network, and this is the thing I used for it. I'm gonna speed it up here again. Half of part of it can be built from these ports because they overreach. So, and then the items will start filling up. Here are smarts to make sure that first I have like a logic and construction robots. First it's triggered only on logistic ones, because I need them to bring these items, especially next logics robots, to get even more of them. So I'm basically waiting for these 10 to be here. Yep, I could already see some. And here is like a calculator. As soon as I hit 20 logistics in this network, it's gonna start picking up even the construction ones. We have 12 now. $16. Come on, robots, you can do it. We are 20, we just need 21. And we are over 20. Now it's swapped to construction robots, which we already had enough ready in here, so it's sending a lot of the construction robots. And it's counting them down. And as soon as it will count, I think it's 200 or something. Where one of these will be it. Yeah, it's 250. As soon as we will hit the number, let's wait for that. Construction bridge will shut itself. Okay, back to the speed 1 because of a movement. Also important but really small thing in here should be the blue boxes for the wood, because before I implemented these thingies, I used to put them on the blue belt and sending them to the base, but sometimes it happened that all robots pick wood and didn't construct the inserters and fill the first chest, so it deadlocked. So I had to pick in every frame 4 of these, because I don't think there can be more than 4 requester chests full of wood on one square. So that's one anti-deadlock thingy. And here I have like a robot adjuster. I have for the first stage I have more construction robots, and then thanks to this small logic will then get removed and maintained only like a 50 robots or whatever. And also different bases need different amount of logistics, so this one is capable of doing it. For later builds like a beaconed science, beaconed modules and beaconed rocket, I use standard layout of substations and roboports, but it doesn't work for first few bases of those unbeaconed modules, and it doesn't work for nuclear. So soon enough you'll see that this inner part will be actually destroyed and changed for a different thing. But yeah, this was the frame, and what was happening in the brain was that I sent the signal in here, and this was the first stage. And after the first stage it was built, which was frame, it was second stage, and that's the stage where it's right now. And now we are waiting for these conditions to be met so we can start building squares. One of the conditions in here is the amount of construction robots in here in this network, so it doesn't start until most of it is built already. So you have to have 250, and as you can see we have like 240 now available, and it also needs to have roboports, and which I actually doesn't have, but I was like, we'll cheat up a bit. I'll just create them so it doesn't have to wait. And yeah, I'll put them in here. I'll add them here, 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 so it doesn't have to wait. So you could see that there it was slid on, and I think the build already started. Yeah, you can see a little concrete around. That's where the pump jack's empty blueprint were spammed, and now it's been destroyed, and it's continuing in a stage 2. Now I'm gonna fast forward the outer ring because you already saw it in the starter base and it's same old, and I'm gonna explain the last few thingies on the base build, and then we actually go to the kitchen. Okay, last square is being set up, and that will mean that I'm gonna go to slower speed, and that will move us from a stage 2, which is the outer ring, to inner base, which is like stage here 3. Here we are waiting for 12 lubricants, and every square have a 1 lubricant, as you can see here, in the last phase. So in here, as soon as it's gonna be built, this constant, wait for it. Speed up a bit. Yep, it was built. Let's go back to 1, and we can see that now we are in stage 3. Stage 3 mean that it moves to here, to this, like these 3 thingies are different coordinates. This one is for a frame, which have like offset at this point. The second part is for the squares, and it have also offset in here, but it calculates like squares by square from these coordinates in here. And the third one is a base, and its offset is as well somewhere here, I think. And we can already see that the first part of this build is to deconstruct everything inside, so that's already happening, because the nuclear build doesn't share the roboports and the substations with the other builds. Oh, I'm gonna speed up again here, and this is already the first blueprint. As we can see, the first light is lighting, so it's a first blueprint in here. And this is kind of like a small trick for the water. because I'm actually gonna show you. I'm using pipes really close to each other in my nuclear build to have maximum space efficiency, and there is a booking game if I place the water like here and no, is it here and now I don't even remember. It's like here and here. No. Okay, that's a little awkward. That's a little awkward. Let me actually put 2 on. Was it here? Three. Oh, here. Yes, 1, 2, 3. It removes the other one. So I had to come with like a small little trick of mine, and actually if you concrete it first and then you put it like this, it doesn't remove the other one. So it's like a small trick that I had to put the bases in more blueprint than one, and also it is needed because sometimes I have like assembler with the requester box, and the requester box is for 2 assemblers, and if the items in it are mixed, I have to be sure that the assembler is built sooner than the box, otherwise the inserter will take a wrong item and prepare it for the assembler that is not yet there and deadlock the whole thing. But it will be a bit more visible in a kitchen. So yeah, here you can see that we are already on blueprint 2, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching the stage 2, and now let's move to the final part. Okay, here we are. This is where it was all created. As you can see that I have all the blueprints laid next to each other with the numbers. Let's quickly go through them. It starts from here. Let's get the number 1. Number 1, that's just a water fill. No, actually, no. Here's the second version. This is number 1, so like starting solar bases. This was actually the start purely. That's stage number 1. Stage number 2. Number 3 is the miners. Number 4 is the power. Number 5, first science. Number 6, research labs. Number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 are the mining frames. Number 13 is even more stuff. It's the square brain. 14 rest of the science. 15 nuclear, and the 15 already starts with the frame for the brain. And here we have a 16, which is the start of the brain base. Brain base is 80 and 82, which are right here. Here we have 80 brain base and 82, which is final brain base, with the last logic piece to end it. Here we have frames, the spiral I was talking about, straights ups, corners and stuff like that. Here we have the rest of the builds, the bases. Let me get there. Yep, and as you can see that the nuclear is first blueprint is to remove everything. Second one is the concrete. Then I added the water into concrete, and then I finally can build nuclears and stuff, and then finish the whole rest. For the rest of the builds, I didn't have to use it. I was ready to use it, So I skipped like the numbers in here, and but I didn't. Here's like a science items, rocket, nuclear. Here are the square for the second stage. That is more like polished than the first one. And yeah, that's about it. And I'm just gonna show up how I do if I do change something, because there is actually one thing I want to change. There is a small feature I don't use anymore, and it's just causing more mess than it should. And it's this one. So if I want to make a change, I go here, I open my blueprints, I open Final TAFK, I open the last version, which should be this one. I open it. P3. Oh no, there was actually 2, 3. I rename it for something new. 2.4. I know that I want to change build 80, so I take 80 out of it. I deleted it, and then I go and create a new blueprint. Call it 80. And put it back in the order. 80. And that's it. The save was done, but it's actually here as well. So I have to remove 82 as well. 82. I save it. I put it in here. And then I save the version in here as well. And voila, I made a bug fix. So, for everyone who stayed up till now with this video, sorry it's way longer than I expected it would be, but there is so much I could say and talk about this base that if I would want to say everything, that it would be even be longer. But yeah, here we are. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the Reddit, or if anyone would be so enthusiastic to actually go deeper in my base, I'm willing to give my ID on Discord, and I can, like, you can set up a voice meeting with me, and I can describe anything from my base. So once again, thank you all, and see you later.